Dominic Calabretta is the CEO of one of Australia's leading restructuring firms, Mackay Goodwin, who have just released a business survival pack to help businesses manage through COVID-19 and avoid going into liquidation. And he joins us now. Hi, Dominic.
Hi, how you going?
Very well, thanks for joining us. Look, many businesses, as we know, are really struggling in the wake of COVID. Which industries do you think have been hit the hardest from what you've seen?
Anything in travel or hospitality, the retail industry. So obviously the lockdown measures that have been undertaken, any businesses that have been affected by lockdown have been severely impacted, and thankfully through the government benefits, they've been able to survive. However, the hospitality, the travel industry, and then the retail industry.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there is that really fine line that so many businesses are walking at the moment between struggling and then heading into liquidation. So are there any actions that they can actually take before they go into liquidation?
Liquidation is probably the last resort. So before businesses consider liquidation, there's quite a lot of other options to take. I think the most important thing to consider is to act early. So don't wait till the government incentives cease. Start preparing now, because I think around October this year, when the government incentives stop coming through, businesses are going to find themselves in a very difficult position. So by starting to prepare now, I think it will prepare a company and not have to close down and go into liquidation. Obviously speak to their accountants, lawyers, their professional advisors, and get assistance as early as possible.
So explain this a little bit further then. I mean, when you're saying prepare, what sort of options are you actually talking about? What options are actually open to the businesses to try and avoid insolvency?
So the main options is restructuring or balance sheet restructuring or cost cutting. So I'd say cost cutting is the obvious one, and a lot of businesses are probably doing that already. But look at other avenues and savings through your balance sheet, negotiating with your creditors, extending payment terms. At the moment, restructuring isn't as difficult as it usually is because everyone would be very sympathetic to the situation. Everyone understands what's going on. So by basically talking to your creditors and advising them the current situation and extending payment terms. You've also got some formal options such as voluntary administrations. For example, Virgin Airlines just gone into voluntary administration. That's a very common restructuring tool, and it means you don't have to close down your business. It gives you breathing space and for you to endure difficult times, but allow your business to continue.
Well, one of the other things that we've obviously seen is the government's wage subsidy programs have had JobKeeper and JobSeeker. Do you think what the government put on the table is enough to help some businesses?
It's enough to keep businesses alive. However, once the music stops, as one could say, I think businesses are going to be facing a lot of difficulties. So the current status at the moment is the government wants businesses to go into hibernation mode, and once the economy picks up, they're hoping that revenue will pick up. However, unfortunately, debt won't go away, and a lot of businesses are accumulating debt that aren't getting assistance for, such as one of the most common one is commercial rent. The government has provided relief packages in that you can, cease your landlord from kicking you out of premises. However, in 6 months' time, the landlord may say, well, no, you need to pay me back what you've owed me for the last 6 months. And a lot of businesses are going to find themselves not being able to pay those significant liabilities that are accruing whilst there's no revenue coming into their business.
Yeah. Okay, and what about insolvency legislation? Because there's been some changes on those.
Yeah, so the major change has been a business cannot be closed down by a creditor within the normal time frame. So the normal time frame, if a business doesn't pay its debts, and once a legal document called a statutory demand is issued, they have 21 days to respond, and if they don't respond they can be wound up or closed down. The government's changed that to 6 months, so it gives businesses reassurance that they can't be closed down by a creditor for not paying their debts. And another major change has been insolvent trading laws. Directors are relieved from insolvent trading because of obviously the COVID-19 impact, and therefore their personal assets are protected until that legislation changes again.
Okay, so what about moving forward then as we start to emerge, I guess, from the ashes of the coronavirus crisis? Are there any tips for businesses to actually be putting in place to give them the best shot at avoiding liquidation into the future?
The first thing I'd suggest is a cash flow and a projection on the exposure that they're going to be incurring for the next 6 months. So have a look at the revenue that's coming in, and the liabilities and costs that they need to maintain paying to keep their businesses alive, and then determine whether they will be able to catch up with these liabilities that are occurring. If they know that they're not going to be able to catch up with these liabilities, start the negotiation or restructuring process now. The earlier the better, because it gives you a lot more options in possibilities through your business. As I said before, liquidation is the last resort, and if creditors, if they are aware and made early intervention, they are reasonable and may negotiate payment terms. Through our firm, we've negotiated payment terms for up to 5 years. So, we've had businesses in some instances where they haven't had to pay back debt for 5 years. Obviously, that's an extreme case. However, the earlier the better, and start having hard discussions early with your creditors.
So, Dominic, if people want to find out more information on this, how can they contact you?
We've obviously through our website at www.mackaygoodwin.com.au. Or through the normal platforms, social media, LinkedIn. We've got obviously 50 staff, analysts and liquidators, and we're all providing our as much as we help as we can. We're starting to get quite a few queries, but as I said, I think around June, July, around October will be when it really picks up. But yeah, they can contact us through any means, website or telephone.
Yeah, it's certainly been a troublesome time, and we really appreciate your insight. Thanks for joining us, Dominic.
Thanks for that.